Hello. I have a breaking development related to ongoing coverage of the Idaho 4 murders. Lana Oriani, the YouTuber who operates a channel called Truth and Transparency, as well as a public charity called Fight for a Family, has been asked by a neighbor of the 4 college students in Idaho who were brutally murdered in November to remove content that has caused them pain and suffering. And this neighbor has endured threats and harassment as a result of this content, both online and in her local community. In response, Lana Oriani has been dismissive of the complaint, has accused the neighbor's mother, who lodged the complaint in a large Facebook group, of being a troll, and has demanded that the Facebook group messages be removed, and they were, and has threatened litigation. Content in question is a video on Truth and Transparency from December 27th, 2022 called University of Idaho Bodycam Footage at 1122 King Road, September 2, 2022, Xana Kernodle. It is still public on her channel as I am recording this. In this video, Ms. Oriani claims bombshell that a September 2nd noise complaint came from a specific home in the neighborhood right near the crime victim's house. After showing the body cam footage that resulted from the noise complaint, Ms. Oriani reads a news article that was published on November 30th, several weeks after the noise complaint and 2 weeks after the murders. While reading this article, Ms. Oriani reads the full name of one of the neighbors who lives in the house where she just claimed the noise complaint comes from. So she makes the connection between the person who's named in the article and the noise complaint that was made on September 2nd, without telling how she knows where the noise complaint came from. While she's reading this article, she puts heavy emphasis on the fact that the neighbor is no longer part of the same sorority as the murder victims, as if it has some import. The video is carefully produced and hyped up to build tension and create audience anticipation for a major bombshell, even using those words. The bombshell is that the noise complaint came from the same person's residence who's quoted in a news article on November 30th. She makes this shaky connection without meeting the burden of proof of showing how she knows that the call came from that neighbor's house. In its totality, the video and the verbal and nonverbal communication surrounding the video attempt to weave a fine filigree between the letter of the law and an outright murder accusation. I can prove that the purpose of this video was to attempt to get the audience and law enforcement to question an innocent person. I can show that Ms. Oriani knows this is the wrong thing to do, and can show that this is a repeated pattern of behavior using 3 major examples from 3 different true crime cases. Keep in mind, however, that these are just 3 examples among countless others. I call this pattern shame, blame, humiliate, repeat. Shame, blame, humiliate, litigate, repeat. I just made that up. But let me be more descriptive about the pattern of behavior that can be observed in these 3 examples I'm about to tell you about. The pattern goes something like this. First, mischaracterizing digital data to cast doubt on a victim, a witness, or witnesses in a true crime case, even after the case is closed or the witness has been cleared by law enforcement. We saw that in the Idaho 4 case. 2, using the misconstrued data to make a case for why the witness should be investigated. 3, when she's challenged, she first dismisses the witness's concerns. She silences loud voices of dissent through threats, intimidation, and litigation sometimes. And she denies others' rights to free speech while demanding the same rights are respected for her. So let's get to the evidence, shall we? Let's start from the most recent case and go backward, and that's the Idaho 4. I've described the content that was created on the Idaho 4 murder case to imply that a neighbor who was a former sorority sister lived in the same residence where a noise complaint was called on the murder victim's house on September 2nd. This is the community post where the live was hyped. Breaking news, Moscow, Idaho. Police returned to the 1122 King Road residence on September 2, 2022 at 12:36 a.m. Murdered victim Xana Kernodle answered the police officer's knock at the door in the newly obtained police body cam footage. Can any details within this footage help investigators and the victims' families with solving this quad murder? Tonight, join me at 5 p.m. EST. She doesn't mention anything about the neighbor, but she does tease the fact that maybe there are some answers here, right? Here are a few clips from the video to illustrate, this is the live that she was inviting people to. And this illustrates how Ms. Oriani specifically chose words, music, and nonverbal cues to create an environment of anticipation for a bombshell.
I will be dropping a bombshell on the house/person that called this in.
I can hear music. I can't tell where it's coming from.
Again, I will be revealing at the end of this 38 minutes, I think something that's very important, which would be the responsible caller. And I won't be giving the name, but I will be giving some information as to circumstances.
In the next clip, you'll hear Ms. Oriani toward the end of the same live stream reading an article. The first thing you'll hear is a beep because I edited out the name of the neighbor quoted in the article, but the video is still public on her channel. And she has not edited it out. After saying 3 different times that she's making a big revelation about where the noise complaint came from.
Claimed that she had visited the house every so often before it became a murder scene, and claimed she had been there for events or times the girls would just quote unquote hang out. And she added that the girls' deaths had been extremely difficult for her. The Vandal community is really close, she said, and it's kind of just put a darkness over it. She claimed that she had not seen Mogan or Kernoodle.
Now listen to the cadence of her voice as she reads one sentence of the article 2 times, stating that the neighbor is no longer part of the same sorority.
As regularly because they had left the sorority the previous semester. As per Fox News. Again, she claimed that she had not seen Mogan or Kernoodle as regularly because they had left the sorority the previous semester, as per Fox News.
And now listen as she reads the girl's name from the article here and reveals that she lives just behind the crime scene.
Resides in a home just behind the crime scene. She claims she didn't go when police allegedly discovered a large number of bodies inside the house when they had arrived on November 13th. When asked about the possibility that the killer might have passed through her yard, she responded, "It's definitely something that's crossed my mind, and that's really terrifying." What I thought was interesting, after receiving the body cam footage, the dash cam, it then comes down to, okay, there was a call earlier in the evening. Nobody kind of answered the door. They had to do it over the phone. They got a name, but guess what? They didn't even ask for her phone number. Now they're returning. And they're returning because somebody called in. That is why the police returned. There was a phone call placed to the police department roughly 10 to 11 minutes before they arrived.
After she reads the rest of the article where we hear the neighbor quoted about how scared she is and that she has started walking around with pepper spray, she goes on to say this as her big reveal.
And that call came from the residence of this young girl, a sorority sister. It came from that residence. This call came from that residence. Again, this phone call and return visit all happened because the police were called from the residence of home residence where she lived. Again, I said the residence. The residence that called the police was the same residence that the article from November 30th, 2022 put out that I just read. That residence in the article that I just read, if you need to run it back, that's going to be on your time.
Now, the chat was disabled for this live. I don't know for sure why, but it sounds like there might have been a little bit of confusion and dissension in the chat about what she was implying. And the reason I believe there was dissension in the chat is because she posted this on her community wall, and probably comments later on the video after it was live. She posted this on her community wall the next day, where she further explains what she meant in the video and defends any accusations that she accused the neighbor of being involved in the crime. This channel never said Redacted was involved in anything nefarious, only that she was a Fox News source and that her info matched the info on the residence from where those September 22 police complaint came from, period. And that this residence has multiple persons at this location who could have placed this call. But how do you know the call came from that residence? TNT revealed that Redacted was a sorority girl who claimed that Maddie and Xana were no longer in the, as this came straight from the article, but you repeated it twice as if that had a lot of meaning. I'm continuing to read. The live from December 27, 2022 on this channel proves everything that is posted within this community post. Please revisit that live for additional information. This channel prides itself on integrity and of consistency. Fair and consistent reporting and research are vital investigative tools to see to it that the outcome reflects the truth, not a narrative. Protecting identities of someone is the choice of this channel when deemed. TNT has made a decision to protect the identities of the callers listed above and will continue to use discretion when needed to protect the integrity of this channel. What this tells me, this lengthy post, she's defending herself against allegations that she made these implications because she knows it's the wrong thing to do. But as I'm going to discuss later in my commentary, she chose every bit of content that went into that video and how it was presented. Now, this is a screenshot of a comment from a subscriber and a reply from Ms. Oriani underneath this community post, which says the following. I rarely get on Facebook anymore, but went to do some searching. I had joined the main Idaho murder group. Boy, are they talking some smack over there about you and your channel. Apparently, Redacted's mom commented on the post someone linked to in the group. I couldn't recall your email, Addie, so I figured our community page about this video would have to do. The insanity of this case is mind-boggling. Now, this is TNT's response. Her response to being told that the mother of the neighbor is angry and posted some things. This is her response. That would be a troll. That would be a troll who is purposefully spreading misinformation. And it is clear if you listen to this amazing video, what was said. I'll be sure to have that post taken down by morning. It is down. We don't know why, but it is down. Especially if it pertains to libel. Now we're starting to get into legal language, right? Thanks, girly. I keep my stuff factual. And getting any mother riled up over falsehoods is a definition of menacing stalking and harassment by Ohio law, which is where I reside. Thank you for the kind post to alert myself and channel. So essentially what she's saying here is that it can't be true that the mother of the neighbor is voicing her concern about how her daughter has been impacted by the fact that a YouTuber has made a connection between a noise complaint at a murder victim's house and the fact that she commented in a news article, and now this YouTuber has put these two things together and said that that noise complaint came from that house. So she's completely dismissing that that could be that mother. It must be a troll. And not only must it be a troll, but that troll is actually menacing stalking. And she knows for sure, she's stating this as a fact. So she knows for sure that someone is stalking her. And she moves right from someone expressing their concern about her content to I'm being menacing stalked by a troll, without showing any proof of any of the above. Okay. So here's another screenshot that was sent to me of a comment from a subscriber and Miss Oriani's response. I'm not sure if this is a comment from the video itself or from the community post, but let's read it together, shall we? You said the call came from the residents. No harm in that. So they're agreeing with her. And she says, nope. And in fact, I felt like I had to in order to connect a dot that may have been missing from L.E.'s notebook. This proves to me that Ms. Oriani intentionally created this video so that law enforcement would investigate it. She says this after reading the full name of one of the occupants in the house where she claims a noise complaint came from. Any reasonable person would conclude that making this connection to a specific person would put them in direct danger, at the very least, of the target of horrendous harassment. Ms. Oriani read in the article herself that this young girl was having a very hard time with the murders. So she knows that this girl is in distress already and has been traumatized, but she went ahead and added a whole entire new layer of trauma on top of that, to the tune of almost 100,000 views and counting. And I can confirm that this has caused pain and suffering. This is a screenshot of a post made by this neighbor's mother in a Facebook group. The neighbor's mother has stepped in for her daughter because her daughter is already under too much distress. As far as I understand, this screenshot has been removed from the Facebook group. While we know that Ms. Oriani threatened to have the comments removed, we don't know for sure if that's why it was removed. Hello, I'm Redacted's mother. First of all, she was never a roommate. This Fox News reporter came unannounced to her home and she politely answered questions. The noise level on that night was clearly loud on the footage, and students in this home are diligent about their studies. She was not the one to make a noise complaint call. As details are coming out, it's clear that multiple neighbors made noise complaints. So obviously there was a noise issue from the home. Any one of us would make a noise complaint as well. Nothing wrong with that. My daughter is the sweetest, kindest soul who has struggled emotionally since this tragedy and is scared to go anywhere alone, even unsettling to be inside her own home. For this YouTuber to put her name out and allude that she was involved is disgusting. Goes to show the length of people will go for views and attention. And the next things I'm going to read are private messages between the neighbor's mother and another YouTuber. Now, this YouTuber's channel is named Crime Sleuthin, and it was Crime Sleuthin's video where I first discovered that Ms. Oriani had escalated this pattern in the Idaho 4 case. Now, I have permission to show these messages to emphasize that the young neighbor and the mother continue to be in distress, that the content remains on Ms. Oriani's channel, especially after a suspect has been caught as basically dead to rights. So this is from the neighbor's mother. She was careful the way she worded her statement. She completely alluded to lead people to believe my daughter could be involved in the murders over a noise complaint, even added the eerie music in the background for extra effect. And this is the YouTuber, yep, drama queens, eat that up. Well, I'll do my best on this video, and if you want to add anything, you can. I'll be up in a few hours to get it going. And now this is after Brian Koberger was arrested. Hallelujah. So relieved. Justice for families and healing for the Moscow community. I checked my activity log and most people deleted their posts after I defended men. Some people sent private messages apologizing. I think the strongest language I used were the disgusting and despicable pertaining to what Lana did to my daughter. And then this YouTuber says, surely she does want to leave something up that makes her look stupid. And the mother says, Lana, it really does make her look stupid. I don't know her, so don't want to judge. But if she takes it down, I'm guessing for her benefit and not about those she's harmed in the process. She owes a public apology for what she did. Now, these are not trolls. These are human beings. And this brings us to the human beings in example number 2. So I can show that this is a repeated pattern of behavior, okay? The innocent human being who was accused of being involved in a homicide is Joe Richardson, a witness in the case of Tyrique Pugh. Tyrique Pugh was shot 7 times and left dying in the street on May 15, 2020. And on his way home from working a double shift at the airport, Mr. Richardson says he almost ran over the body as he was driving home. He stopped his car, blocked any incoming traffic, took out his pen light, and asked Tyrique Pugh if he was okay. When he called 911, he said he was standing right near the body, that the body looked like it had been hit by a car, that he didn't think the guy was alive, and that there was a lot of blood and that it was clotting. Here's the 911 call. Please listen carefully to the man's voice.
Where's your emergency? It is in Implicates. I wish I knew the name of this road, but when you get off 51, it's like a man got hit by a car. He's not in good shape. I don't even know if he's alive.
Now here's a clip of Miss Oriani insisting that everyone believe that Mr. Richardson is not 63 years old, but he is 34 years old.
Breaking news, number 1. Since the mainstream media doesn't want to let you guys know, I will. Joe Richardson, who testified, was not 63 years old. Again, I'll repeat this. Joseph Richardson, who testified as witness number 4 with the van, who found the body and called 911, he is not, I repeat, not 63 years old. He is 34.
Look at him walking around grabbing his you know what. Where's your emergency? It is in Implicates. I wish I knew the name of this road, but when you get off 51, looks like a man got hit by a car. He's not in good shape. I don't even know if he's alive.
And I want to know what news station is going to call bullshit. This needs to go mainstream media. I don't know how to get it out there. This witness is 100% lying. No doubt about it. I want to know how the media outlets say that it's a 63-year-old man. That tells me that none of these media outlets are inside that courtroom. Otherwise, you would never be reporting that this guy is 63, number 1.
And here's the most important clip in this example. This is a clip of Ms. Oriani making the case that when Mr. Richard called 911, he was not anywhere near the body.
A breaking story emerges, and new questions are raised based on the Beaver County 911 closed incident report. Location saved by the locate call was 1140 Harmony Road, Baden, Pennsylvania. This location is across the Ambridge-Aliquippa Bridge and not near the crime scene. This story will be developing the rest of the day from yours truly.
And she has spent a good deal of time trying to convince us that the 911 call was made several miles away from the body, even going so far as to map out the distance and show it repeatedly in a video.
Again, this is just breaking it all down. Where that trace was. When's my gut wrong, Mod Squad? Mod Squad said, your gut said to question him a year ago. everything surrounding it.
Now, it may be true that the call originated from 1140 Harmony Road in Baden, Pennsylvania. But you know what else is located at 1140 Baden Road in Baden? 2 cell towers, as you can see right here. But she never says that. This is the closest cell tower to the location of the body, or at least the one that it pinged from, which is why it ended up in the police report. And if she were truly as knowledgeable as she says she is about how cell pings and data works, she knows that law enforcement would see that the address is citing cell phone ping, not from the exact location of the body. Since Ms. Oriani is making this accusation, she should know that she has the burden of proof, but she did not meet that burden. She cited data that she did not show and expects us to believe it. She bases her conclusion on that data and weaves a tale suggesting that Mr. Richardson was part of an elaborate setup of Sheldon Jeter Jr., the convicted murderer she's evangelizing for. Now, it's one thing to make an accusation while showing a source of your data. It's a whole other thing to make an accusation of a criminal nature without meeting the burden of proof, and to do this in hours and hours of paid video content on YouTube over the course of several months, maybe longer. It's speculation, and it should be removed. In addition, questions about it should not result in threats and intimidation when the proof is requested. One person who has repeatedly challenged her assertions in this case is an investigative journalist called John Paul. He runs a hyper-local news site in Beaver County where the murders took place, but his investigative work is regularly featured in national news outlets and programs like CBS's 48 Hours. Here are some screenshots of things that John Paul has said in public chats about his attempts to get Ms. Oriani to correct the record. Allow me to help you understand the current situation. Ms. Oriani's conspiracy theories are false. Her accusations against witnesses in homicide investigations are untrue, harassing, and dangerous. Today, Ms. Oriani tagged CBS's 48 Hours, CBS Pitt, and a local newspaper. These news organizations are aware of Ms. Oriani and have independently come to the same conclusion: the woman is crazy. And here he is responding to another account where he says, "The last time I interfaced with Ms. Oriani, she told me she wanted to birth my children." And in case you haven't seen my previous video showing how Ms. Oriani responded to this same reporter during a live stream on her channel, here's what she said to him verbally as he attempted to get her comment about allegations that she had been scamming the Watts.
Because he's so thirsty. He can't write to save his life in his stupid website, but he comes here just to... You're not welcome here. I think that you need to leave. God, I mean, he has nothing better to do. Stalk my shiz.
What's wrong with you? And then I got the Beaver County in here saying, "Oh my God, Lana, do you have any fucking comments?" Yeah. Take your pen and shove it. That's my fucking comment. That's why I laugh when someone with a limp dick comes the fuck in my chat and wants to ask me, do I have a comment?
Now, every bit of content I just showed you with these false allegations against an innocent witness in the Tyrique Pugh case is still public on Ms. Oriani's channel to this day. There are currently 4 videos public on her channel as of this recording, and I've linked to all of them in the description below. There are also other videos, entire live streams dedicated to disparaging John Paul from the Beaver County, and you can see those as well. Although everything she says about Mr. Richardson has been credibly challenged or debunked by many people, she has never corrected the record, she has not retracted anything, and she has not removed the content. Don't even bother to ask if she's ever apologized. Now, as I've said previously, this is one of many innocent people in the case of the murder of Tyrique Pugh who were stripped of their rights to the presumption of innocence by a monetized YouTuber who operates a public charity. This brings us to example number 3, aka the Whopper, the Chris Watts case. Now buckle in because I need to provide a little bit of context for this, and I'll do it as succinctly as possible. Shanann Watts was 5 months pregnant with a boy named Nico when her husband, Chris Watts, murdered her and their 2 toddler daughters, Bella and Cece. We believe that Shanann had just found out that Chris Watts was having an affair with Nicole Kessinger. But so far, that is only conjecture based on circumstantial evidence, meaning we know he was having the affair. We don't know for sure that Shanann found out right before she was murdered. Now, after murdering them, Chris Watts buried his pregnant wife in a shallow grave next to 2 large oil barrels where he pushed each of his toddler daughters through an 8-inch opening. Chris Watts worked at the Anadarko oil refinery in Colorado. On the day that Shanann and the kids were murdered, August 13th, 2018, Nicole Atkinson, one of Shanann's close friends and co-workers, went to Shanann's house to see if she was okay. The night before, they had both returned from a short work trip to Arizona, and during that trip, the pregnant Shanann was having a hard time emotionally and physically. She was exhausted, and she and her husband Chris were discussing a possible divorce. And while Shanann was in Arizona, she noticed that Chris had just charged an amount on his credit card that seemed a little high for one person. Money was tight, and it was being managed closely, and Shanann was already suspicious, so she asked Chris about the charge, and he told her he bought salmon and a beer. And Shanann and her friends looked at the menu, and didn't feel that the math added up. Basically, she thought he was lying. By the time Shanann arrived home at 1:48 a.m. on August 13, 2018, we believe she was convinced that Chris was having an affair and was preparing to confront him. You're now watching video of Shanann walking into her house at 1:48 a.m., and this is the last known footage of Shanann alive. The car backing out of the driveway after Shanann goes into the house is being driven by the son of Nicole Atkinson, and Nicole Atkinson is in the passenger seat. At 5:27 a.m., Chris Watts' truck is seen backing into his open garage. He apparently loads some items into the truck and then leaves. Later that morning, Nicole Atkinson called 911 for a wellness check on Shanann. Before calling in the wellness check, she was on a series of one-way and three-way calls between her and Chris and Shanann's friends and Shanann's mom, Sandy Brusek. As you can see in this body cam video, Nicole is visibly worried and upset about her friend. All she can think about is the safety and well-being of her friend and why she can't find her. After a disastrous interview on the porch of his home the next day, Chris was questioned by police. Once they revealed to him that they knew about his mistress and told him he failed the polygraph, he finally confessed to one version of the crime where he says he murdered Shanann because he discovered that she had just murdered their daughters. For this, he was arrested and held on no bond until November of 2018, when he eventually pled guilty to all of the murders and was sentenced to life in prison. That's the very basic context in which Ms. Oriani of Truth and Transparency comes in. From at least February 6th of 2021, when she appeared on the YouTube channel Jays for Justice, Ms. Oriani has enthusiastically and dogmatically evangelized for law enforcement and anyone watching the case to answer for holes in Nicole Atkinson's testimony, relying entirely on the pinpoint accuracy of Life 360 app data. She has used the 360 data from Nicole's phone to question why it took her 22 minutes to go from Shanann's house to her house when they dropped Shanann off at 1:48 a.m. She points to Nicole's 360 app data to suggest that Nicole Atkinson was actually inside the Watts home at the time of the murders. She has not met her burden of proof, but to this day, she continues to insist that Nicole Atkinson could have been inside the house that night and refuses to back down. Now, before I show you the following clips, I want you to keep a couple of very important things in mind. By the time all of this content was published on YouTube, and it still remains to this day, Chris Watts had pleaded guilty to all felony murder counts and had already started his lifelong stay with the Department of Corrections. Also, when this content was being created at its peak volume, when it was getting the most views on YouTube, when all you could do was open up true crime on YouTube and see Chris Watts, Shanann Watts, Nicole Atkinson. Nicole Atkinson was battling breast cancer, undergoing treatment. Thank goodness she has now been declared cancer-free, as far as I can tell, because I don't poke around in her private life and I don't know her. But on top of battling cancer at that time, she had just lost one of her best friends and young daughters to a heinous, high-profile murder, and she was the first 911 caller. In fact, if Nicole Atkinson hadn't called 911 so quickly, it's possible that Chris would have been long gone by the time anyone figured out what happened. The point is, she already had enough going on without an unqualified YouTuber cajoling people, including trying to get law enforcement to believe she might be involved somehow in the actual crime. Now, I've strung together a segment of clips that range from February 2021 to May 2022 that display the same pattern of behavior that I've shown in the previous examples. You'll see Ms. Oriani's evangelization for her accusations against Nicole Atkinson, followed by humiliating and mocking people who ask legitimate questions, followed by threats of litigation.
Head scratcher for you. How did NA drive from the airport to Shannon's house and then to her house and only it be a 28-mile drive? I wasn't too concerned with minutes yet. I was talking about the miles. Symbols?
Yeah.
Let's check this all out. See how there's no symbol that's the same back to back? So
Yes.
there's no symbol that's the same back to back.
Yeah.
No, I'm just showing everybody there's no
What does
symbol
it
that's the
mean?
same.
What does it mean, though? What do those symbols mean?
That means it was cut, copied, and mother pasted. That's what it means.
Wait,
okay.
Say it again. Wait.
Say it, don't spray it, girl.
Hold up.
The best part about this is it's not the what. It's not the who. It's the why. Why would anybody do this?
I'm confused, though. I am still confused.
Da-da-da. Why are these blank? And then look at, guys, it's all in that time frame of the stupidity actions of the one and only Nicole Atkinson.
Wow.
That's your bomb, bitch!
Okay, wait. Let's go further.
And this is the best part about it is you guys can see it all when Christopher gets his 35C and he's in trial. And then you guys can, I'll wave. I'm gonna wave.
Starting again with Lana. And we're going to do it because I think she's the world's expert on the 360 app and the possible machinations of, I can't go there really, but you can. Nicole Atkinson, who is like, she's sainted in the case, but you've looked into this deeply and found a lot of discrepancies, right? What time are you thinking and Atkinson was there?
She had to be in the house before Sandy Rusick made the 8:30 a.m. Primrose phone call. The only thing that didn't add up was driving home, okay, that night. On hers, said that they drove at 1:28 a.m. to 2:10 a.m., and that would be her final destination at 2:10 a.m. at her house, okay? So then you have to, what time did that car back out? And what time did she pull away to then go to her house, right? It was 1:48, remember? That's when Shanann walks in the door, 1:48.
Oh yeah, 148. It's on doorbell cam and on Nate's camera. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, so at
And
1:48,
yeah.
then why would it take, remember I did this drive 8 times. This is an 8-minute to 12-minute drive.
Yeah.
Literally just depending on one light. It depends on how you would hit it. So 1:48 to 2:10 is how many minutes?
148 to 210. 22. 148 to 210, 22 minutes.
Exactly. So how would it take you 22 minutes to get home once Shanann gets out of your vehicle?
Ah, right. Shouldn't do, should it? Because she's only 10 minutes away.
Exactly. Except for this. So, and then what I looked at, because AD, I know that you've done this. When you look at the actual diagram of everything, right? Minutes. But
Yeah.
I'm saying it does not take 22 minutes to get home. So what's going?
No, but I see that's when they could have got spooked and scared for Shanann's safety or whatever's going to happen, right? Did they make a decision to keep an eye on her? That's what you're thinking, right?
When people are trying to say that she couldn't sleep in the basement, this is where I say, this is how the possibility comes up. And it would come up that when you pull away, you know how the back of the house, you can go right up to that gate and just go right in. And, you know, hey, well, you can't stay because then Chris will see you in the morning. So you have to stay downstairs, come back, you know, come around, whatever, something like that, go through the window. But that's where that time would be, why there would be that time, because you're waiting. Let me check and see how things are, whatever, and then just come in 5 minutes or something like that. How do you explain 22 minutes? That's not how long it takes to get there. And people can say, oh, maybe the app was off. No, this app is money with everything. You can't pick and choose when the app. I think
we checked out that app and it was totally correct.
Yeah.
Someone went and bought one and we checked it out. It's very good app.
Yeah, it's otherwise it wouldn't be. Nobody would have it if it was.
What's the point of buying it? It's not going to work.
I had the app and it's completely inaccurate. Well, I hate to tell you, but it's not inaccurate. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as successful as it is. And I actually had the app and it's actually very accurate. And that's the whole point here. But
I talked to my friend from Apple. I put in a call. He's an important guy there. And he said, literally, that is a really stupid theory. Okay, next.
Go back. No. So, whatever time she got in the house and saw she was away. Why is she covering that up?
Because you're putting somebody in the house during possibly the time of a crime, other than Chris.
Of course, even you are not saying that Nicola Atkinson's involved in this murder. You're just saying.
No, I don't think she's involved in the murder. No, I don't think she's involved in the murder at all.
We need to make that clear because I don't want you getting in trouble here.
Yeah, I've been making that clear.
Okay, but not on this particular show. Yeah.
This was to protect her because of just how everything had played out. It was 100%, and it had nothing to do with the crimes. I mean, Chris had the best attorneys. All people had to do was
pull the right buttons. He was away,
not defame, this supposed scam, which that's just laughable. I think it's amazing to see now that I know who was behind everything to do with it. And I'm not scared to say it. Jay for Justice. That's why I filed on her. There's a complaint. Lynn from Trauma and True Crime, and Vanessa Walsh from Unmasked. Those 3 big channels. And I mean, trust me, there's a lot more, but defamation is when you know something to be true, but if you know that something isn't a scam and you with malice lie about that, that's defamation. And that's what these people did to me just because I could do what they couldn't. Shit, type in my name or type in Fight for a Family, and you got idiots like Aunt Lala and Andrea Powers that are using Fight for a Family name and my name and, still trying to defame it just because they're, jealous, small-minded trolls. These people need to have sex, Amy.
It's a snake pit. YouTube's a snake pit. Do you know the woman? Have you ever spoke to her? Or a dad? Or a mum? Or a sister?
No. Never spoke to NK. I've only been to Colorado now twice, and it was to go get the 35C and to go for my last hearing for a temporary protective order.
Right, come on then, Lana. Let's do this. Was she there that night or morning?
There are a million different, totally innocent reasons for why it took 22 minutes for NA to get home. None of the answers Ms. Oriani provides assumes innocence. And believe me, if she believed, in my opinion, that NA should not be implicated in the crime somehow, she would have come up with just as many reasons why she took that long. Innocent reasons. That's how critical thinking works, not just by looking at one side doggedly. TNT argued against NA as if Chris Watts' life depended on it. And she continues to do that even though she knows that Chris will be in jail for the rest of his life for the murder of his pregnant wife and children. Here are the last couple clips that show that Ms. Oriani knows full well that it puts people in a bad place when they're wrongfully accused of being involved in a crime.
That's when the oxy stuff and Unmasked was going hard at Jamie Watts. And I had no idea what that was about. And I mean, now I get it, but that was a timed thing. They did it right before and during when we were in Denver. And that was a lot on Jamie. They were accusing Jamie of basically stealing oxy from her work. That was really hard for Jamie at that time, and she just wanted that to stop.
You think that Chris was wrongly convicted, or the sentence is wrong, or other
you wrong the process, then this is how people that are innocent can be found guilty.
I just want to say something to Lori in chat. Lori said, OMG, please, if you are a mother, then why are you speaking like this after someone's daughter has been murdered in the most vile way imaginable?
Can I answer that?
What if this was your child? Yes, you
Okay,
may.
can I answer that?
Yes.
Exactly. What's her name? Exactly, Lori.
Lori.
Exactly. How about this? Let me reverse it. What if your son, if you're a mother and I'm a mother and I have a son, and your son was accused of doing something that he never did? If you're a parent, I hope that you would want truth and then justice to come after that.
You know, I think it's fair for us to ask her the same question about all of the people she has accused of being involved in these crimes. Do they deserve a fair defense? Do they deserve innocence before guilt is proven? Do they deserve to be free of blame and harassment if they defend themselves? I think I've established that there's a pattern here. And in the clip I just played, I established that she knows how bad it feels for innocent people to be accused of being involved in crimes, especially a murder. Then why? Why does she do it? This is meant to be a factual video, but I'm going to end with a bit of commentary. Why does she do it? My answer is this. It's content. It's just content, and it's content that is built off the backs of victims and witnesses in true crimes. And with YouTube's inability to enforce its own terms of service and community guidelines, I can guarantee you that this pattern will continue to escalate. If you want to hear more commentary on what I really think about this based on the facts I've just gone through, feel free to check out the live stream where I premiered this video, and feel free to skip through to the part where I start my commentary. I'll provide a timestamp in the descriptions below. But if you can't watch a live stream and want a quick summary of how you can help by not interacting with the content in any way. I'm not going to shame you if you interact with content. I have no control over that. I'm just saying that's how you can help. Interacting with the content will allow the pattern to escalate. And as much as I don't want this to happen, I truly believe that more people will continue to be harmed like this as long as people keep interacting with that content. I feel guilty even interacting with any of the content to get receipts for this video, but hopefully my viewers can agree it was for a good cause. And that is to make a compelling case for why the content in question should be removed by Lana Oriani of Truth and Transparency. It's very easy to do. It's stupid easy to do. And it's the right thing to do. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to interact with this video in all the YouTube-y ways, and consider becoming a member because that's the best way to show you appreciate my work. And as I've said many times before, please remember that other people are going through as much as you're going through in your real life right now, okay? It's none of my business to know what you're going through, but it's also not cool for me to intentionally try to make it worse for you using my monetized channel on YouTube. Peace out.